Do I have more clarity?
I don't know if you have more clarity. Chat, does Griff have more clarity here? We are full HD, apparently. Unfortunately for you, perhaps.
Maddie, hold on. When you said HD, it sounded like you said HD. How do you guys say the letter H over there? Is there
H.
so you're pronouncing the if you were to phonetically spell the pronunciation of the letter H, for me it would be like Aytche. But for you it's
Huh.
Haytche.
Yeah. I haven't. It's H.
No, it's H. It's H.
It's H. Like
H.
I hate you.
Right. And Maddie, I ate you too.
Your
And
Griff,
you were
your eyes
delicious.
look slightly different today.
Well, I'm not wearing my glasses.
Yeah, true. But like, I don't know.
Hmm. Wait, wait, what?
They look different.
Um. Anyway, how are you? What's going on? Did you watch
Not
any
much,
football
man.
today?
The Seahawks won. That's good.
Did
We did
did uh did you see Cody Byring in the interception?
No, I wasn't doing that game.
Dude,
I was doing
oh, that's right.
Vikings Titans, which was abysmal. But I did see the Cody pick.
Yeah, I forget you have to work on Sundays.
Yeah,
Broncos fans love Cody Barton. That's so
funny, isn't it?
funny. Yeah, it's
Funny.
real funny.
Imagine how good the linebackers. Anyway, never mind. Right. Okay. We do have a preamble question. Not that we'll spend much time doing the preamble, but I saw Taylor asked, Matty, have you watched any good films lately?
Yeah,
Taylor,
man.
that's a great question. I actually yesterday, for the first time ever, watched Reservoir Dogs.
Mm,
Absolute banger.
okay.
I can't believe I hadn't seen it before.
Really?
But it's really good. Really, really good film.
We need.
So many good performances in it.
Mhm.
Um,
We need to put together a like a syllabus chat. Put together a syllabus of classic films that Maddie needs to watch.
I think it was to. I don't know what. Yeah, I guess it's at the point that I was waiting for it to hit a streaming platform, and I somehow never watched it.
Interesting. Is that the same hindrance to you watching a movie called Children of Men?
Yeah, yeah,
Is that all? Do you have
yeah.
Prime?
Yes, but how Prime's different. You can't
Okay.
snooker me here.
That's right. I forget there's different
Yeah,
uh,
rights,
libraries country to country.
all that
I,
type of stuff.
I wonder why that is. I wonder what the business decision making is because it's free for me right now on Prime.
It must be just the way of them making more money, like exclusive to a certain region.
Hmm.
You pay more for it to be global, all that type of
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, yeah. That makes sense. Um,
We have so many
Maddie,
good football questions, by the way.
are there?
Yeah, there's even someone who I don't actually know how to say the symbols in their name. Like it's a different language, which is really cool.
Um, yeah, that is
Yeah.
cool.
Right. You ready?
Yeah. Are you ready? It's the Matty F. Brown Show with your host, Matty F.
Well,
Brown.
hang on. Someone called me British scum.
Well, I mean, Matty, they're at least half right. The other half, I mean, I think we can confirm you are British, so maybe they're right on both counts. I'm just kidding. That was mean. It's the Matty F. Brown Show with your host, Matty F. Brown, with his co-host, Matty F. Brown's friend,
Friend?
partner, business partner. Oh,
Employee.
only on Seattle Overload. Hosted by.
Welcome to the Seattle Overload podcast, where the Seahawks have got back to winning ways. They've defeated, finally, the San Francisco 49ers 20-17, moving to 5-5, back to 500, 1-2 in the division. And this was a massive win in so many respects. It's a statement victory for Mike Macdonald. It wasn't there's no such thing as a must win, but it was so important that they didn't lose this, and the manner of the victory, Griff, is. Didn't you say it was season defining potentially?
Did I? That works. Yeah, that works for me. I mean, season defining, season saving, the future of this like immediate window of the franchise maybe hinges on the outcome of this game. So, yeah, it was a big win. It was more than just the win, right? It was who you beat, and given the context of where you are in the season and what that signals for the rest of the season, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, blah blah blah.
A good old blah blah blah. So, Griff, in terms of what this means, I think it's obviously important in the division, but it was so exciting that this was a game where the defense came to play, and we'll dive into that in a bit more detail, but the defense came to play. They held the 49ers to the lowest points total, under 20 points, since a Nick Mullins 2018 game, which we can forgive people for not remembering. Geno, of course, had been 0-5 against the 49ers, which saw the broadcast flash up a worst quarterback record against San Francisco. Brilliant graphic. Someone spent time with that one. But no longer.
Sorry to cut you off so rudely, but I love how we're still how quarterback wins discourse has us in a chokehold still as a society.
Right. There was
Will we ever be free?
I had a mean tweet. I don't know which quarterback it was, but there was a quarterback who I was going to say a quarterback win should apply to because I dislike them. I dislike a lot of quarterbacks.
Yeah, well, that's more of a philosophical position, right?
Yeah, but
no, I'm not against you on that.
Absolutely agree. And talking of narratives, Griff, there is an idea that Geno Smith ain't clutch. But before that drive, I tweeted, there's no quarterback or receiver group I'd rather have to try and pull this one off. And lo and behold, the Seahawks march 11 plays, 80 yards down the field to go ahead by 3 points. In fact, that... well, I'll talk about that in a second. But Griff, Geno is kind of clutch.
So, right, like he... oh, sorry. I don't know if my
You're fine. Keep talking.
Am I okay? Cool. Thanks. So when it comes to those soft traits, like, this player shrinks in the big moments, or he rises to the occasion, or this player, can't beat this team because there's something, pathologically at the root of them not being able to beat this team and stuff. Or I don't really know how much I believe in any of that. Like, even with Geno being clutch or whatever, like the people that are pro Geno, of which, I think we are in that bucket, obviously with a lot of the Geno narratives in reference to those soft traits, right? A big counterpoint to those, again, soft, subjective, nebulous terms is, well, he's clutch. And like, even within that, I don't even know if he is clutch so much as Geno does really well in hurry up offense because it's spread it out and the defense can't substitute as much and they get the same calls. And he just happens to be really good at that. And they reserve most of that offense for their 2 and 4 minute stuff. And you don't see a lot of it outside of those moments. So I don't even know if he is necessarily clutch. It's just he's really good at the situational football that correlates with those moments.
Well,
right? And
he also had...
I'll call him clutch, but like I think so much of this stuff is just circumstantial. Like, I don't think there was anything inherent about Geno not being able to play well against the 49ers. I think it's just pure matchups and the exact way those matchups combine. So,
well, he also had the game-winning drive stat last year, right?
Right. And that's kind of what I'm referring to. It's like he does well in those moments because you're just accessing a bucket that he always does well in.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, he's clutch, sure.
And what was also quite spectacular, and I'm going to try and share some things on screen, but about that game-winning drive was we got this like 2 plays before Geno pulled off the game-winning touchdown run up the middle. Yeah. We saw 49ers assistant, defensive assistant KJ Wright communicating something to his linebackers. So
Interesting.
Haha.
Is
Anyway,
he the man on the inside? Did he throw? Did KJ throw it?
yeah, he was like, you know what? You should totally not tackle Geno here. Take your eyes off him. Yeah.
Wait, real quick on the game winning run, I
Yes,
thought he was going to get caught. I didn't think he was scoring when he first took off. Even those first,
which would have been catastrophic because the Seahawks were without timeouts and had 12 seconds left.
right? Yes. Did you think he was scoring immediately?
Well, actually, I had my dad text me saying, hold on, let me bring it up. Hold on. Now, that is a thing for absolute beauty. I just hit the ceiling. So pleased for him. Fucking Geno and JSN. Massive.
So you were spoiled then.
Yeah, I was slightly spoiled, but
You had
nonetheless,
you had an industry source spoil you.
yeah, and that was just as I was probably going to be thinking, oh, he might get caught here. So
right.
But yeah, I'm so pleased for Geno, and obviously that moment meant a lot to him with the record. He threw the ball down the 49ers tunnel and said afterwards that was the best throw he made all game. Then celebrated with this kind of Steph Curry style put them to sleep celebration, which he said you had to do in the Bay Area, which excellent. Love that. Very good.
Great.
Could have looked very silly given the 49ers had just they did have 12 seconds left, but like all of that game, really, the defense got the stop, and that was that. So Griff, before we talk about the defense, because I think is a massive story, how about the fact that this is the Seahawks winning a game in the fourth quarter? It really is. Like
they have a few of those.
They do. What, over the years or just in this season?
In this season.
I know, yeah. And I think it comes right when an offense sputters, but you know, they were entering the fourth quarter, or even 9 minutes 33 seconds left in the fourth quarter. They were down. They were down by 17 points to 13.
Right.
Then they marched down the field, turn it over on downs. We'll talk about how that happened. But the defense stops a 4-minute drill pretty quickly, forces the punt, and the Seahawks march down the field and score. So, and I think that win the game in the fourth quarter thing, which is obviously a Pete Carroll quote, but the whole point of it, right, Griff, is whatever happened in the game, as long as you're still within the score, as long as you've still got the stop, as long as you still put the ball in the hands of your offense to go down the field and get it done right at the end of the game, you can still you can absolutely win the game right there and then. It doesn't matter what's happened.
Right.
If you've earned yourself that last opportunity, you can go get it done, and that's what the Seahawks did today. So
yeah,
that was nice. Right, Griff, how good is this defense? Because, as I said, first time since 2018 they've held the 49ers to under 20 points. Rushing offense-wise, you're always scared of the 49ers, but McCaffrey's held to under 100 rushing yards. The 49ers did get 4.9 yards per carry, which is kind of high, but only 131 rushing yards. And in terms of total offense, they had just 277 yards, which is not great. EPA per play rush was poor. It was 12th percentile and 15th percentile on early downs, 7th percentile on late downs. So really poor EPA per play, which I think is good context given their yards per carry. It was higher. I imagine actually that yards per rush is being way thrown off by Purdy.
I suspect that it is, because to running backs it was negative 0.12, but the success rate was still a little high.
There you go.
But it wasn't a disaster. Like, there wasn't some huge explosive run that they gave up, right?
Yep.
Generally speaking, so first, before I get into like the really like the positives, in the spirit of not trying to get too high, not trying to get too low, I think the natural caveats are no Kittle, no Ayuk. Like that's a big deal still. Like no matter who the
And
49ers
Kyle Juszczyk getting banged up as well.
juice check, and then I think Deebo Samuel was very hobbled still. Right, that was his
Right.
first game back. So there are caveats there. I also think within the bucket of things that's within the quarterback's control, I don't think Brock Purdy had his best game. I think that was probably one of his stinkers. And I some of it, not all of it, some of it was stuff that like had nothing to do with what the defense was doing. Like it was just he was off on some throws, high, late. So all that aside, what I feel like we can conclude from this game is that the floor of the defense has skyrocketed. Now I don't know what the ceiling of this defense is. I don't really care to guess. Like just see how they do week to week. But the fact that the defense has found this newfound level of competence is really encouraging. The run defense has improved drastically. They're not giving up explosives there. The pass defense, I don't think their structure broke very much. Like maybe one or two times where it was like, oh yeah, they just kind of didn't play something well collectively. When they did get thrown on, and it wasn't very much, right, in the aggregate, but when they did get thrown on, it was just guys losing one-on-one. Jawan Jennings got his yards. He's a good receiver. Unfortunately, there is another 49ers receiver. So the third downs passing, I think, was probably the weak point if you were to isolate it for the Seahawks overall. Purdy had really high EPA there, 56. I think they completed 5 of 9 third down throws. So I'll be curious to see what was going on there. There were a lot of checkdowns, though, in this game, in the passing game, especially on early downs. And that's typically a sign, again, of your structure doing its job.
Yep.
Really want to watch the tape there. And again, with regard to the run defense, I want to see if they schemed it exactly the same way they did against the Rams. I definitely saw bear fronts, so the soak package from Macdonald. I'll be looking for on tape if they did a bunch of movement at the line of scrimmage to clean up some of the front beaters.
Yep, it looked like some, showing under and then moving while blitzing to remove the bubble and moving of the front to make things harder run defense. I just realized I read out the wrong EPA numbers. Can you imagine? I was on the Super Bowl. It was actually 47th percentile rush performance from the Niners in EPA per play, and they 73rd percentile success rate. So, but on early downs, 33rd percentile rush, which is a 46th percentile success rate. Still very solid run defense performance. And we got a question from, sorry, I actually cannot read that. Those
what
letters?
Characters.
There you go. My imagination or second level defense was much improved. Linebacker personnel fixed, or Witherspoon is just beast. Kobe Bryant growing into playing safety. I would agree. The second level defense did look much improved, and that's not just a one game thing. You know, we spent ages enthusing about how they performed against the Rams. The Rams? Yes, the Rams. And it seems that they weren't doing the stuff which was so bad against the Bills. It also seems that Ernest Jones has been a big upgrade on what they were getting from the position and his ability to stick his snout in and sniff out the run and filter through the trash. We also had a question on Tyrice Knight, and I guess it's quite fitting to talk about him because the rookie was thrown in there. Seattle cutting Tyrell Dodson. And the fact I didn't really notice Knight against the run or the pass, I think speaks to him probably having a fairly good game. I really expected Griffin. I guess this kind of goes to the point you had about Purdy not having his best game. And Greg Olsen sort of mentioned it on the broadcast. But I really thought McCaffrey would be isolated on a linebacker a bit more. I think Macdonald did a great job of not letting that happening and doubling him. And whether it was a lineman dropping into coverage, as Olsen highlighted as well, or like bracketing him in man-to-man, but they did a solid job of, playing a guy outside him and a guy to the inside of him to remove the option reach stuff out the backfield.
Right.
But yeah, really positive with Knight. And Mano Warg's asking, did the Bear front's better spacing continue? I think we've answered that, but clearly on the mind of you guys too is definitely the encouraging thing about this defense. Right, let me just make sure I've got all the questions here on the defense. Is the defense now cooking with gas? Asked Ben. I think I'm with Griff there. That they've raised their floor for sure. That when you can actually prove that you can stop run games, and if you try and stop the run with a bit more of a concerted effort, you can get it done. Because Seattle was unable to do that prior to Week 9. They were trying to stop the run and they just couldn't do it, which is where you get real problems. That's always going to elevate your floor. Now it's about, I think this game, Griff, defensively, the real issues were... Well, the 49ers still had long drives, didn't they? But the big, long third downs would be an area for them to focus on, which some of that was Juwan Jennings, as you said, seeming to be the next new 49ers weapon. And also, I would like to see them, and maybe we will, if these teams continue being good. I don't know if the Seahawks are good. We've got that to find out. But I'd like to see them against a healthier 49ers in terms of their full complement. Not having Kittle obviously helped, but in terms of they were able to drop out into their zones and really camp on Diggs and not have to worry so much about the guy to the inside running over the middle immediately.
Yeah, I mean, you because as we talked about it, most of the yards they did give up in the passing game was kind of one-on-one stuff, even if it wasn't man coverage.
Right.
You have to think then with Ayuk out there and Kittle out there, you're going to give up some more chunkier passes.
Yep.
But you can't play the if and buts game. The fact that their structure was good, like that's the one thing you can control for the most. Your structure was really good. And if they had Kittle and Ayuk in there, they probably game plan a little bit differently too, right?
Yep. Taylor asked, why did it seem like they kept forgetting to cover Jennings? And in the comments as well, Gavin said Jennings made some good catches under solid coverage. He just had a game. I remember one where he just blocked Spoon out of the catch with his frame, even though Spoon was right on him. Yeah, I think Jennings was just the problem. Like, they were calling stuff to try and bracket him, and even that Spoon against Spoon, that was like a trail technique where Spoon could have probably played it slightly differently, but it was just Jennings just getting open and Purdy just throwing it to a spot, which he often does. But
as he's wont to do.
Yes. But yeah, overall, really excited to watch the defense tape for the second week running, which that's quite exciting. We have a question also about Reek Woolen here. How do you feel about Reek Woolen's play today? I feel a little disappointed. Jay, I think that's just who he is right now. He's not quite that dominant type of corner. There's moments of inconsistency, and you wonder if it's a case of focus. What's the reason for that, or what's the most common reason? Is it focus, or is it just it comes off like it's a focus thing, or like a details thing, which honestly maybe that's just more time needed playing DB and more reps to learn, because you forget. I know it is his third year, but you forget how new he is still to all of this.
Right.
So we'll see. Might be. And again, Jennings was playing very well. Also, high level play. Okay. Thank you, Fats, so much for the donation. Never had a doubt beers on me. Thank you very much, Fats. Appreciate that. Griff, anything you want to talk about the defense? Anything more?
I mean, Ernest Jones is really good. He's really good.
Yeah, we had a comment here from Brandon. Can I just say Seahawks fans are hilarious? They've been talking about how linebacker's the least valuable spot, but now we've got Ernest Jones in a defensive turnaround. They love linebackers. Unreal.
Yeah.
Well, Brandon, I view that, Griff, as an exposure thing because, and sometimes you need to see it without good linebackers to realize, hey, you know what, linebackers do have value. We were spoiled for years watching Seahawks defense where they had stud linebackers, like really damn good linebackers. Then they drafted another really good one in the first round. The drop off from what we'd seen to what we were seeing was noticeable, even to the broadcast watcher, the guy or gal in the bar. You could sometimes you don't necessarily see a specific thing, but you can see the overall impact of the second level talent isn't quite there, and that's causing real bad knock-on effects.
And it goes back to when we discussed how where they were bad previously, and like how bad they were on first downs and like second and short, second and medium, and then they were good on second and medium plus, and then third downs. They've improved their first down numbers via improving the linebacker play, right? And that allows you to access more of your things that you do well, the second and longs and the third downs, even though today third down variants kind of bit them in the rear a little bit. But yeah, it's Jones has been transformative-ish. And I wasn't able to really get a good feel for it, but I suspected he did okay. Really excited to watch the tape on Tyrice Knight too.
Yep. All right. And finally on the defense, I thought Spoon, he obviously got beat and by Jennings a couple of occasions, but corners are going to get beat, particularly when he was still covering very tight. It's kind of almost the limitations to being a slightly smaller guy in how Jennings beat him as well. Mm-hmm. But also Spoon's impact was felt massively. He had a blitz off the edge from the outside cornerback position with Macdonald basically getting into 6-2 look after showing an underfront. Cool, nice. And got his hands on the football, tipped the pass, almost resulted in a pick. And then the absolute high-level play. Now, I don't know if it was cover 3 technique or like match up cover 3 or whatnot, but he's matched up with, I think it was Jennings, and he doesn't drive on the out route. It's like his feel for the play. He knows that he's getting a pivot route. He just knows instinctually, feel-wise, he understands what's going to happen. And so as the receiver breaks back to the inside, Spoon is pitched his tent to the inside still, reaches his hand in, knocks the ball up, which I think that's a skill. I think that was an intentional bat up of the football. And who else but Jonathan Hankins to catch the pass and get an interception that, I mean, the Seahawks offense, they didn't turn it into a touchdown, but they got 3 points and they won by 3 points. Right. They sputtered with it, but it was a nice Jason Myers 57-yard field goal. Impressive, earning that money. But yeah, Spoon Griff there'd been concern over his play. The last 2 weeks, he's been making the type of plays that show up on the broadcast as well, and I think probably people can relax. Like, they've got a very dynamic, exciting build around, or at least be the almost nucleus of a young developing team. Yeah,
agreed. It's cool to just know that you have D-line talent and for that to actually matter. Like they're actually put in a position to flex that and accentuate it. So
yeah, and the D-line was kind of kicking butt. Like there was 2 3rd and 1s where they drew holding penalties just because they pinched them down. They cover up the center with 2 guys. They cover up the guards either side, play like a tight forefront, and they just get off the football and go. And they're very hard to handle. So that's exciting. And now the linebackers behind them are playing with a more assertiveness, or we'll have to look at the tape from this week, but we saw it last week, them playing more downhill, a bit more confident and less muddy. That just makes the D-line's job easier and allows them to shine more. So pretty exciting stuff with this team. Okay.
Agreed.
Other thing, Griff, they're coming out for bye week, right? And we'd bemoaned a lot of games where there was loads of penalties for the Seahawks, too many, really. Kind of impressive that in this game, they were not penalised so much. Let me actually get how many. I think it was 4. Yeah, four penalties for 20 yards. Better. Do you have any penalty analysis here?
Matty, I think about penalties so often that I'm actually a little tuckered out by it. So no, I'm not gonna share it.
And on the flip side, I felt in that first half in particular, and maybe not a reason to not be excited about the defense, but maybe to temper enthusiasm or not get too carried away, stay balanced, is that the 49ers had 9 penalties for 54 yards in this game. Quite a few of them were self-inflicted ones on offense, procedural type stuff where they will be very disappointed. I felt in that first half in particular, they were very, very sloppy. And getting in, helping Seattle by getting into those longer downs and distances where Macdonald can work his stuff. That being said, didn't feel like we got much Macdonald stuff. It was kind of the rush for and guys just winning up front in their pass rush and then very disciplined zone coverage.
We got some sims.
Okay.
Like remember Mafe had the tip.
That was drop 8.
Oh, was it? Okay, my bad.
Yeah.
Pardon me, podcast co-host.
No problem. Right, offense. So Geno got it done in the end. This, though, from the offense was looking really bad to the point that I tweeted that this could be the worst Seahawks offense since asking a question, when has it been this bad? And I think you replied 2011.
Strictly speaking, off of the EPA, including this game's data, it's 2011. Yeah.
It's 2011 bad. Yeah.
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 Frustrating. I mean, you see the process behind Grubb's problem solving. You see what he's trying to do, living in a little different formations, more under center. His opening script had some quick game, make the defense honor, what they yield, right?
Mm-hmm.
But man, like they get their back up against the wall, and I don't know. I don't really know like what words to place on it, but it feels like Grubb kind of throttles down his scheme and then at the wrong time, and then opens it up when it feels like maybe you shouldn't. Again, like this is all vibey analysis, and I don't like just painting with a broad stroke like that. So I really want to watch the tape and get into it. But
I think it's that, but that
everything
that's the point
seems
of our,
so hard.
Right, and our post-game reaction's never going to be as detailed, but impressions do matter, and what you feel isn't necessarily wrong, and I mean, heck, in the moment, players are feeling the same thing, right? In a way, not quite, but anyway. Let's not get stuck on that. I felt, Griff, they started with like a concerted, okay, we've been in the bye week, we're going to be an more under-center team. That's clearly something they'd been working on, because Greg Olsen in the broadcast said, like after one snap of them in under-center, saying we can expect to see way more of this. They've been working on it. I saw some of the beat reporters referencing maybe a bit more under-center stuff too. So that, behind the scenes, that had been their emphasis. What we saw, though, from under center was very similar to the smaller sample size that we'd seen in previous weeks, where the run game looks like a bomb's gone off in a bad way. Guys are getting blown back. It's kind of on Walker to be special and create, and when you put someone like a Zach Charbonnet behind that, it's very, very difficult. That's a big generalization. They probably did block some runs well. I know Walker had like 3 yards per carry, so read into that what you will. We'll look at the tape. But then, under center pass game wise, all it is we're an under center almost as a one off. Like they're they're not fully invested in it. They just do it so they can try and get play action deep shots down the field. And that first drive, there was a DK almost grab and a AJ Barner almost grabbing a whole of the coverage, but it's downfield, like high average depth of target stuff. There's not like the wrinkles off that to be more balanced. So
Right.
that was a bit disconcerting, and you almost got this sense, even on drives where the Seahawks were moving the ball, of, okay, the under center thing's like a package, and they do like two things out of it. They run or they do under center deep shots. Obviously, there was actually quite a lot of variety in the run game, which was encouraging. There's a lot of moving parts, but ultimately the results weren't there. They were struggling still.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was the gun stuff. Maybe a bit more quick game, I think you said.
It was more early on, yeah.
Yeah. They kind of just reverted to who they were, and really the
They're
fact
not
that the
explosive at
last
all.
drive was just Geno doing what he'd done. That, that's how they'd been
Right.
successful all season, really, which is that hurry up mode where, as you said, Geno's game itself kind of lends itself to that. But ultimately, Griff, I guess what I'm saying is I am still concerned about big parts of the offense. Like a
Yeah.
big criticism of last year was they were siloed. Well, actually, this is what siloed looks like right now, in
Right.
my opinion, at least. Can it change? I'm not too sure. I'd say the pass protection early on in the under center play action stuff actually worked, but then I think that was them catching the 49ers off guard a bit, and it didn't. A big part of this game, and this we should have probably mentioned it sooner, a massive part was Nick Bosa leaving the game, just being on the sideline, helmet off.
That did swing some things, yeah.
Happened in the third quarter, right?
I want to say, yeah.
I mean, he was an absolute menace, as he always is against the Seahawks, and
That one retrace where he tracks down Walker from behind on that dump off. First, I thought it was a screen. He's an insane athlete.
Yeah, just unreal. So that obviously helped Seattle, and yeah, some of the passing concepts again, like in third and longs, there's like 5 different concepts that they have, or even 4 maybe.
Right.
It's very predictable.
I mean, list them off. Like
989, Y cross, mid screen, all curls. 4.
And like that was true at UW, but one, you can kind of get away with that, right? Because if it's not there, the check down picks up 12 yards in college. But the ways that he dressed it up too, to like you don't know which direction the play call is going, who's doing what, even though it might play out the same in the end. Like that's not really working anymore. It's like I think defenses are adjusting to motion league wide.
Well,
and that actually reflects statistically plays with motion, without motion. Like they're kind of aligning right now.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean motion's bad. I'm not saying that, but it's just like you got to have more concept. We said this in the offseason. Grubb doesn't have a lot of concept breadth. What he has is depth within his concepts in terms of how he gets to them and little wrinkles off of them. But, there's a balance to it, and like defenses are sitting on it. Like the only way they can really get explosive right now is our back shoulder fades against like off man or off zone coverage where they can kind of work into the blind spot. But that does not feel like it doesn't feel like a very sustainable way of working the sideline or getting explosive. I mean, they had a long today of 26 and then another explosive of 20 yards, both on those kind of back shoulder deals. So I don't know, man. It's you got to find other ways to access the deep part of the field.
Yeah, I think for me it's concerning. Like Seattle struggled in multiple games in recent times to run the ball on the 49ers, but ultimately they still have to be able to run it better, and maybe that's just a work in progress. Like, are they better at running the ball than they were 3 weeks ago? Maybe. So, yeah, the offensive line just we had a question on Anthony Bradford from Ty. I've lost it, but here we go. Thoughts on Anthony Bradford? I mean, it's not really fair on. I know they're in the NFL and they're big boys now. They're adults and whatnot, but you can't really. Like, he could just be a solid backup guard who can, he's a fourth round guard with kind of heavy feet whose game isn't drop back gun passing.
Yeah.
Like, he would be a guy who you slot in to run the ball mainly, and then you do the play action stuff and whatnot. So he's not really a fit for like a large portion of what they're doing, and investment wise, I don't know if they expect that either. Still disappointing. Christian Haynes can't beat him out, or was not able to, and still can't.
That's really, really disappointing.
So really, that's obviously an area they need to upgrade. We have a question on Abraham Lucas coming back. Axel saying that Mike Jarrell was getting cooked by Bosa. Happy we got Abraham Lucas back. I imagine he was on some kind of pitch count.
Yeah.
I didn't see much from him, so I guess he did okay.
Right. Yeah. He gave up the sack early on in the game. Right. I think he looked okay. His one thing I was looking for early on, then like I always, I don't know, ADHD kicks in, then I forget to focus on what I wanted to focus on the game, and my mind just goes to whatever. But one thing I was paying attention to with Lucas was his foot speed when kicking. Mm-hmm. As you worry about the knee, like you're driving off the knee, right? There's a lot of pressure on the knee in pass protection, and he seemed to fire off the ball pretty well and gain depth well. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's a good sign, and the rest is just knocking the rust off and getting more reps and, getting into football shape and things of that nature. So I suspect it was an improvement over what they've been getting out of right tackle. So hopefully that continues.
I'd also say just about the offense overall, it felt so heavy-handed, like in terms of there's no subtlety or like artistry to how they get into the under center type stuff. It's so like, oh yes, we're in this now, we can do the play action. Oh yes, or we can get the run game going. And it reeks to me of they got absolutely bollocked, and this is pure speculation, but they got absolutely bollocked in the bye week to like sort their shit out by head coach, and it almost. I want to use a better term than the term I'm thinking of, but it's like two different worlds, right? It's not married. There's no real harmony. It's very do this world of it, and oh no, back to the other stuff. Well, there's no knitting together or sequencing, which is the siloed thing we speak of.
Right, exactly. I was going to say that it's not like it doesn't feel like with the same personnel within a series, they can shift from under center to gun and then run what they want to run out of both formations with the same personnel. It feels like when he wants to run what he wants to run out of gun, he has to be an 11, and he doesn't and then when he, you know what I'm saying? Like
it's like split personalities, basically.
Yeah, and you have to find a way to bridge those. I mean, when you're in 12 personnel, obviously you're going to be more under center oriented, but you need to accent it with your shotgun stuff, and your shotgun stuff needs to have life out of that personnel package. Then when you're in 11, you're going to be predominantly shotgun. That's okay to be predominantly shotgun, but you have to be able to shift into under center or just even come out in under center and really sell what you're trying to be there as well. And that's the marrying between the different personnel packages that isn't there. It's like when he does his best stuff, he has to, again, like you were saying, be very different than the other package. So yeah, it's stitching it all together that is lacking. And I don't know, even when the O-line was terrible last year, you could just boot and get free 12 yards.
Hmm.
They were really good at it. Shotgun play action is abysmal this year. Why? I mean, that's something that Grubb did well at UW. Granted, he had an O-line, but like Seattle didn't have an O-line last year, and they were great at shotgun play action. It makes you wonder, like, did they just not practice it very much? Is it a time one task thing? Is it an emphasis thing? Is it a mentality thing?
Right.
It's impossible to know all these things, but you have to think it's got to be in that direction, right?
Yep. Yep. Um.
The
So
the other thing you wonder here, like Jake Pete's the passing game coordinator. He knows all the play action stuff coming from LA.
yep.
It's another thing that
The
I
McVay stuff, right?
right. The McVay stuff, and obviously like Geno already speaks that language because Waldron's
And
a McVay guy.
and Pete's has adapted it to multiple quarterbacks, right? He's done. He was there for a bit. Like he'd done Carson Wentz even.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
So it's kind of odd.
it's really weird, and you just wonder, but is it behind the scenes stuff of just them not optimizing themselves, and thinking
Hmm.
of it as like an office building and like just having like corporate synergy. Like honestly, that's what a lot of what football teams are.
Hmm.
Like the really good ones do that boring behind the scenes stuff really well, the operational
Yeah.
stuff you don't see on the field necessarily.
Well, and it comes from the top down, and some of this I think is the newness of the team and McDonald being a first-time head coach. He mentioned being more efficient with practices when it comes to the defensive
He
side,
did.
and there's some stuff maybe he'll have learned about how he sets it out for the offense too. Now, on that kind of related topic about a first-year head coach, this was almost, and why this win is so pleasing, I think, this was almost a consecutive game versus a divisional opponent where the Seahawks offense failed to get a first down, needing just the 1 yard, and turn the ball over on downs with a chance to win, and they almost blew it. But they didn't, so that's great. But in that moment, Griff, first of all, Geno Smith QB sneak gets it from 3rd and 1 to 4th and inches. Mike Macdonald seemed, I don't know what's your read on this, because Mike Macdonald seems to take a while to decide whether he was going to throw the challenge flag or not. And in that time, the Seahawks coming back out in their jumbo package seemed very hurried up. They snapped the ball with like 5 seconds on the clock, but it seemed super fast. Timing of the fullback dive seemed wrong, and Zach Charbonnet lined up at that fullback spot, got stuffed for no gain,
Hmm.
and they turn it over. So yeah, so first of all, do you think McDonald's not indecision, but kind of waiting to see whether he should challenge, screwed up the timing? Like it just seemed
I don't
very
know.
strange. Or do you
I
think
don't know.
they just
Maybe.
messed it up in the moment? Yeah.
Honestly, I have no idea. I don't
And
know.
then the other thing, the jumbo package. So they had a really nice short yardage pickup from like a almost like a wing T look, right? Like old school football. Second week in a row that they've managed to get that done. But uh, there's we spoke about it last week, right? There's only so many things you can do out of that like straight up I form old school, like it'd be called goal line on Madden. There's only so many things you can do. There's only so many things to defend. How did you feel? I know you don't like doing it, but nitpicking that 4th and inches because it's a high leverage play. It's
Yeah.
way more important than your first and 10 to start the game. How did you feel about handing it off on a fullback dive and not QB sneaking again? Because Gina
Yeah.
did get hit big time on the
Mm.
first one to the point where I was
I
like,
thought he
oh, I
got
hope
it.
his knee's okay.
Yeah, I mean, I thought he got it. I would have sneaked again, but maybe it was injury related. I feel like the sneak would have been
Hmm.
not injury related, but your quarterback taking a hit related. I would have sneaked again.
Yeah. And Jason and Jen saying the refs told Mike McDonald that the replay assist said Gino didn't make it. So cool. That explains why he didn't throw the challenge flag, of course. It explains the slight delay. Um, I wouldn't have minded a challenge if he hadn't been told that because just a timeout just to have some timing, thinking
Mhm.
over it, for a very important play. I thought almost that was the game, but it wasn't. So how good? Yeah. The package to me is still very like old. Like, I mean, it is literally old. But
Yeah.
when they line up in I form like goal line stuff, it's super like. I don't think the NFL's advanced so much that teams can't stop that type of thing. It's kind of it's like that. We're better than you, and we're going to beat you. There's no. It doesn't scream creativity to me.
I think so.
Doesn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah. But anyway, I don't want to fixate
Yeah.
too
No,
much
it's,
on
it's
that.
interesting. I don't know.
Just the lack of plays that you can run out of it.
Yeah.
Like as a defense, you have to stop the sneak, the fullback dive, and then the. I guess you can do lots of things with a running back. In fact, one of the earlier ones, the touchdown, Walker's touchdown was like showing, I think, zone to the strong side, and it was actually like a misdirection weak zone or like weak handoff.
Hmm.
But the fullback went one way, everyone flowed that way, and he ran it in on the weak side, way open. So
Yeah.
I don't know. That's why nitpicking individual play calls isn't the best thing. But OG3 saying we're a finesse offense that's not slick enough to succeed like that. When we try to be a physical offense, we struggle. I think OG3, that also speaks to what we were saying about the split personality thing and the fact that Macdonald wants it. That's why it's so weird. Like, it's obvious who wants what to me.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and just what we're seeing out there. So,
I mean, there was always the elephant in the room when you hired him.
yeah.
He regardless of like forget words, forget value statements, forget good, bad, whatever. Style. He likes to go deep. The success of his offense was built off of the deep ball, not just going deep well, but going deep extremely frequently. The Seahawks last year did well when going deep, but they didn't go deep super frequently. But you're talking about giving a guy who goes deep well and frequently, giving him a really, really bad O-line. That was always the elephant in the room. How does he adapt to that? And yes, to an extent, you always give the OC some grace given like how bad the O-line is, but relative to that, adjusting for that, he's not adapted well in the aggregate to that weakness. And I mean, I don't think he's done well strategically or tactically with regard to that. What we do know about Grubb is that he has cool designs, but they don't matter. And when they don't work, when stuff doesn't work, he seems to kind of turtle up. And yeah, like you said, he'll just call something really blasé. And it doesn't really give the quarterback a lot of options, doesn't really give the receivers a lot of chance against the coverage concepts. So I don't know. One thing though from this game, and part of it was, DK first game back, and DK had a good game, but like Geno and JSN are really feeling it with each other, and Smith and Jig. But with him, he's not working with any tools that he hasn't had since Ohio State.
No, it's all just coming together, right?
It's just coming together, more reps, understanding NFL coverages a little bit.
Yeah, and just just understanding coverages, right, Griff? But also, to me, it comes off as like, it's not the cliche of the game slowing down, but it's just like how the coverage is. I mean, this might be what you meant, but it's like how the spacing plays out in the NFL versus college, how these guys move, and just the like ultra precise details to all of it, and like high level receiving. He's the per Seahawks PR. JSN's 290 receiving yards in the past 2 games, are the third most over a 2-game span in franchise history. Steve Largent with the other 2 occasions. So, he's in special company there. If you look at the box score, he had 10 catches for 110 receiving yards on 11 targets. But really, he came alive throughout the game, but just that clutch catch over the middle to just find the hole just inside of Fred Warner, just that connection between him and Geno, as you mentioned, Griff, that's something that Mike Macdonald raised. He volunteered that after the game. It's clearly on his mind. And when it comes to Tyler Lockett, we've always said in this offense, the ball can only go to so many guys. And Lockett's still getting occasional targets, but with DK Metcalf returning and rather quietly, because every game he'd played before against the Niners seemed to get into something, but he had 7 catches for 70 receiving yards. But Lockett just 2 for 19, and ultimately that third receiver is now Lockett, and the ball can only go to so many people, and Lockett's kind of become, I guess, what JSN was, albeit maybe with a few more deep targets. So
Yeah.
Lockett next year, whether he is on a different team, whether he's still playing football, we'll have to see. But
Imagine, yeah. Well, what's your hunch there with Tyler's 2025 status?
I mean, he's not really old, but my read on everything is that he is probably playing his last year, and he might know that, and he might have told the team that.
I think he's got a lot left. I think he's got a lot left in the tank, but I do think he'll retire. I just think he's okay. Like, I think he's happy with what he's put in, you know.
And a successful realtor, so he's got that all. Worked
and
out.
he's got a baby on the way.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, so he might.
That'd be awesome if he does get to retire as well, while still being a good player and like touch wood, but having health and everything, you know.
Right.
Oliver, thank you so much for the donation. I always like your picture; makes me hungry. Yeah, thanks, man. Right, Griff.
So
let's talk about Geno, the bad Geno stuff, because that will be a topic. So the snap. Oh well. Also, that brings up Oluwatimi, who I thought did a good job, Griff. Like
I thought overall he had a good game for a spot start
now,
like that.
The run blocking like shenanigans, he may have been. I'm sure he probably was one of the issues. Have to see the tape, but pass pro wise, good for him.
Yeah, for sure. And you know, we liked him at Michigan. We liked what little we saw of him. He dropped weight for this year for whatever reason and didn't look great in the preseason. Maybe put the weight back on. I don't know, but he looked like
the bye week. They're just like, hey, Connor Williams is retiring. Can you just go and like consume
as many calories as possible? Yeah,
be a Hoover. Yeah, good for him. But yeah, so the snap was more a Geno thing, slightly to his left, which is
whatever. I don't care. Yeah, sure. It was on Geno, sure.
It was more to his left, which for a right-hander in particular is difficult. I would imagine.
Well, not necessarily.
Oh, you've taken shotgun snaps, have you?
Well, no. The reason why I say that is because if you grew up playing baseball, you catch with your offhand, and you get really good at catching with your offhand. I'm a lefty. I'm better at catching things with my right hand than my left hand when it comes to one-handed things.
Yeah, but if you're snapping the ball and looking to catch it like this, it would be your right hand making the catch still if you're going to the left, right?
I guess so. Well, it depends. Like if you're pronating,
depends how twisted you want to be.
I don't know.
Yeah,
anyway,
we haven't played quarterback in the NFL, but the other issue with Geno's game, secretly, the other issue with Geno was his pick, which that's just him trying to do too much, right? Like JSN was kind of open, but he just overthrew it. He sailed it on the run. There was no need.
I don't think that was a case of trying to do too much. Personally, it's not. I don't think it was a bad decision. He just threw a bad ball.
Yeah, so it was 3rd and 8. The Seahawks were down by a point. Huge of the defense to hold the 49ers to a field goal there because it put them defending at their own 38-yard line. But I guess it isn't trying to do too much because JSN's open. Geno stayed alive. He's probably, for sure he's considered the possibility of throwing that football away, but then he sees JSN, he just puts too much on it.
Yeah, it was just a weird thing. And plus his numbers throwing outside the pocket on scrambles have been fine the past 2 years, actually pretty good.
Which is why, as Brendan says in the chat, was it an off-balance throw or what? He missed him by a mile. That was what was odd. Like it was like, is he going... I don't know what happened. It was just awful.
Well, I think there's two things. I think he overthrew it no matter what, but I also think he thought JSN to stop his feet.
Right.
And then then he still probably overthrew him by about a yard. But JSN kept running toward him. I think Geno's thinking about the sticks. And JSN's just thinking about securing the ball.
Yep.
But still, he still overthrew it either way.
Yeah. All right. Anything else on this game? Chat, what do you want us to talk about?
Well, one thing I'll say though about Geno overall, so like today
Yeah.
with that throw, that interception, if you count that as the only turnover worthy play from him,
Mm-hmm.
that would be a turnover worthy play percentage of 2.5%, 1 divided by 40. I did the math.
Oh goodness.
His turnover worthy play percentage this season is 2.8, roughly,
Mm-hmm.
give or take some significant figures. And that
Which is
ranks
crazy how
out
much
of
they've passed as well, right?
yeah. And out of 41 qualifying quarterbacks, that ranks 11th best. So his turnover worthy play rate actually dropped today.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably around 10th overall. But my point is, like, he doesn't have a turnover problem. He's the recipient of bad luck. He's got a lot of interceptions with low turnover worthy plays. It's a recipient of bad luck. And to not be hypocritical, the first half of 2023, he had a high turnover worthy play rate and very low interceptions. He was the recipient of good luck. There were some throws because it wasn't because of inaccurate throws. It was his risk calculation, right? Like, oh, Geno's getting lucky. He's getting lucky. And then he cleaned that up in the second half of the year. The interceptions remained low. The turnover worthy play rate was like top 10 the second half of the year. So then you had process and results aligning. The first half of this year, process and results were not aligning. This game, he had good process. I think overall, good results, at least with regard to turnovers overall, only one turnover. I think this will sustain and process and results will align again finally. It will regress positively. So, I mean, if you look at his interceptions, like three or four of them are tipped. 3 or 4 of them are hit his throne. That doesn't mean he's not partially responsible for some of them, but a lot of it has been bullshit. A lot of it.
Oh, 100%. Which is, to me, whenever something like actually like when it's so like actual just bad, I'm wondering what is the reason for that, because it's uncharacteristic. We should also say that the turnover worthy throw stuff you're citing, that's not us. That's PFF.
Our friends at Pro Football Focus.
Our good pals at PFF who have charted is Tyrell Dodson still the number one coverage linebacker this year?
God.
Do you want to look at that?
Matty, let's not get political.
Okay, no, let's not get political. John Boyle of Seahawks.com. In week 6, the Seahawks allowed 5 plays of 20 or more yards against the 49ers, including 2 76-yard gains. On Sunday, they gave up just 1, a 22-yard gain. Cool stat, John. I like that.
So given that, how do we feel about this team the rest of the way? Because last week I predicted.
You.
Last
Are you
week
trying to be the host?
I'm
trying to be the host, guys.
I'm Matty F. Brown's co-host, but I did. Did I predict 5-3 rest of the way, or did I say it was possible? No, I think I predicted.
You said no.
But I said 5-3 is possible.
No, you did not. You said an optimist.
Realistically optimistic is 5-3. Realistically pessimistic is 3-5. But you said,
and then maybe you were like, I'm a realistic optimist.
Or no, you said I can't do math. You said 2-6 rest of the way.
No, I did not fucking say that.
Heady language.
I said it's possible. I said it's realistic negative.
No, okay, the realistic negative is 2-6.
Why do you think I'm realistic negative?
No. Your realistic negative guess would be 2-6, right?
Yes.
My realistic negative guess was 3-5. My realistic positive was 5-3. My realistic was 4-4. What do you think? How do you think they finish after this game? Does it change for you?
Well, the significant thing for me is the run defense. Now you may think I'm putting too many apples in the run defense basket, which definitely exists. But it does really matter, as we've seen, right? Just the impact on the defense the last 2 weeks when they've actually fixed the run defense, and like the various like consequences of that, the benefits of that have been huge. And so, I would not change what a realistic negative person would say. At the same time, what I would say, right? I don't know. The Cardinals are pretty.
That would be
interesting.
those would be very interesting games, won't they?
Yeah, like they're a cool scheme matchup. Just cool personnel as well. Both sides of the football. Huh. So
Well,
hang on. How many
what's
games are we predicting now? Like all of them?
well, yeah. I mean, essentially, what's their record at the end of the year? I mean, I'm guessing 9-8,
Yeah.
and they need to win 10 games to get to the playoffs. I think. I don't think nine games will get a wild card or the division.
No. And the yeah. Yeah, I agree. I agree.
You think 9-8?
Yes. But maybe for different reasons than I, did previously.
Sure.
The offense can't get worse. Like I see the shoots of progress in that they're trying to do slightly different things, but at the same time, and Luca's back is significant, but
yeah, dude, I don't know, man. I feel like 9-8. I don't feel confident about this offense finding its footing.
no,
Because last year when they struggled the first half of the year, there was still something they did really good at. It was early downs. They were an elite offense. They were just horrific on third downs. They just had to be average on third downs, and they were. And then they were a borderline elite offense to end the season last year, the second half of the year. I don't know what to rally around. Like there isn't a bucket that they do super well in. I mean, empty, I guess.
it's the bucket they do well in isn't a bucket. It's more like a situation.
Right, exactly.
Which is the situation where you see empty, gun, hurry up.
You can't build the boat out of that. So like, I don't know, man. It's not.
I'll build a boat out of what I want.
It just may not be a very big boat, Matty.
Oh, right.
There may not be enough room for your co-host.
You're not on it.
On the Matty F Brown show. Yeah,
the ship might go down.
Yeah, it may not make the journey across the Atlantic. Depending on who you ask, might be a good thing. Dude, okay. I don't know.
Oh no, hold on now. Live on air. Home at the Cardinals, win or lose?
Home at the Cardinals.
They can't win at home. They suck at home.
They'll lose at home.
Imagine if all of the seats are sold to Arizona Cardinals fans.
That's not a thing.
All 12 of them.
Arizona Cardinal fans is not a thing. That's not a thing.
No, that would be a big. That would be a. There's been lots of talk about the ticket issues, but if after a big win like that, they're still selling the tickets and they find enough Arizona Cardinals fans to sell them to, that would be nuts.
If you get out 12'd by the Cardinals fans, then
demolish the stadium.
Demolish the stadium.
Move the team.
Yeah.
To Hawaii. Okay. Yeah, so Arizona Cardinals win, right? I think you win.
I think you split with Arizona.
So you win at home, then at the Jets, who are shambolic. That's got so much easier. I said it would get easier after Salah got fired, but I didn't think it'd be this easy. You think they lose that?
No, they beat New York.
Right, win. Then at Cardinals, lose.
I have that reversed, but whatever.
You think they lose next week?
I think they lose at home to the Cardinals and win on the road.
Wow. That would be such a recalibration if they lose.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, you're right.
At home to the Packers, who somehow beat the Bears today, but they're a weird team.
I think they lose that. I just
same.
Don't feel great about it.
So that's hold on, 2-3. No, it's 3-2. I can count. Right now, at home to the Vikings, who, by the way, the Vikings are doing some defensive sorcery, but I don't know, man. They're not good, but they might be good. Aaron Jones looks banged up. I don't know if they can run the ball anymore.
Yeah.
Do they beat the Vikings at home?
No. I don't think so. Pains me to say it, but they could, but I don't think so.
So you've got them 2-4 right now, Griff.
Do I really?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Well, then they beat Chicago and then they lose to LA.
So 3-5.
Really? Okay, so beat Arizona, beat New York, beat Chicago. Oh shit, you're right.
You're the chat.
Maybe
Don't you love it when your co-host employee turns out to be realistic negative? Don't you love that? I love that.
Maybe they do beat. Maybe they do beat the Rams. No, you know what would be interesting? What if they lose? What if they get swept by the Cardinals, but then beat Green Bay and Minnesota? That would be very interesting. That would be strange. And then they beat the Rams.
How much stock do you put in the fact that it might rain in the month of December in Seattle?
I worry about that. About that, especially with no run game.
Yeah,
and like
that's
no,
scary.
you know what doesn't dip in bad weather games, with the exception of like horrific wind, horrific snow. You know what doesn't dip is play action, and they can't lean on play action this year. So like last year, so Geno's weather phenomenon thing, he does well,
and they have
home.
to go to Chicago on Boxing Day, also known as the 26th of December. Yeah. I don't know if you guys have Boxing Day.
So historically, as a Seahawk, Geno is elite in domes on the road. He is very good at home. And then road games outdoors, he's average overall, with it plummeting on the road in December. And then he falls to like mildly above average in December home games.
Okay. So if you do,
but wait. Within those buckets, though, even when he regresses overall, what doesn't regress is early down passing, especially play action. But that isn't good this year to begin with. So they don't have anything to lean on. That's like what is really like damning about this whole Ryan Grubb offense right now, man.
So do a weather forecast. What's the weather like next Sunday in Seattle? Is it good?
I don't know.
All right, so they beat. So say it's good. They beat Arizona at home, right? Going to New York in December. Let's say it shits it down. They lose that. Going to Arizona, win that. It's basically a dome. It's a desert. Be fine. At home to the Packers, lose. At home to the Vikings, lose. At the Bears, lose, and then win at the Rams. So 3-5. So the weather forecast is 3-5 as well. Okay.
So you're saying 8-9. All right.
So they're going 8-9. Oh dear.
8-9 or 9 or 8.
9-8-9.
Because
Grubb is
6 was afraid of 7.
Right. Very good. Grubb is screwing us here. He just loves the 9-8-9.
It's the Matty F Brown Show.
Right. Okay.
With your host. That's efficiency. That's efficiency. That's getting bang for your buck.
Am I messing up here? Can I not count? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
No, I think when you said that, you were counting this game, the 49ers game, right? When you said
totally, 100%, yeah.
Matty F.
Come
Brown's
on,
co-host with the save.
Right. Anything else? Oh, do you want to talk about the Deebo Samuel draft rumor? I know you do.
Oh yeah, that was interesting. So when it first came out, I was like, "Is this Schneider trying to signal to ownership how good he would be if it wasn't for X, Y, and Z?"
That was my kind of theory on it. Like,
because
he's
maybe
feeling pressure.
Right.
Someone tweeted out, "Is Schneider doing a good job?" And it got loads of votes of people saying no.
No, that was Brian. Yeah, but then it's like, if you're gonna do that, like, why something from 5 years ago? Like, why not make some bullshit up from like 2 years ago?
Unless go deeper.
Right.
Schneider thought they were going to get gashed by Deebo today, so he wanted to get ahead of it.
Oh, interesting. Could be. Because maybe there's the timing with, but then Florio made I had kind of said the same thing. I wondered the same thing. What if this is the early stages of trying to court Deebo Samuel up here, and looking at his contract, looking at the 49ers, this rostering decisions they need to make, they can cut him and not be on the hook for too much money. And maybe they're going to do that anyway. And then try to get him up here
He
as a
turns
Seahawks.
29 in January, though.
Yeah,
like,
I don't know.
and his body's like, I mean, I love Debo. Love Debo. He at the
great
time
fit.
he screamed Seahawks, so it doesn't surprise me that Seattle was apparently planning to trade up to the 35th to select Debo, exchanging that for the Giants, or exchanging that, sorry, with the Raiders.
Yeah, man, I don't know.
But yeah, I
don't
wouldn't
get it.
really
I
love
don't
the
get it.
idea of signing him as a free agent right now, but we'll see.
I mean, maybe
If his health can be relied on, it would be interesting. I mean, how would he have done as a rookie in Seattle? Like, it would have been. It's quite odd. And
yeah, because he and DK would have had to split targets. It would have
would
been
they have
weird.
used him like Percy, basically? I imagine, like probably
Probably.
more running back stuff.
Maybe they would have thrown way more. I don't know, man. Weird stuff.
And you would not have got Marquise Blair, which that draft, now we know that info, if it's even correct, which I don't think Schefter would come out with that unless he'd been told it for a certain reason, but whether it's actually true from the source or if they are playing just pure negotiation games, we will never know. But that draft, looking back on it now, like LJ Collier and then Marquise Blair rather than... well, we never know who they actually wanted in the first. Do you think it was Jerry Tillery?
Yeah, I think so.
He's not done much, has he?
No, he's busted. He's almost worse than Collier, which
I mean, if you look at that first round in totality, that first round just sucks, that area, right?
There really was no right answer.
No, they're all bad.
Maybe stick and pick for Montez Sweat, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe he was gone. I don't remember.
But
I remember John saying he wanted Noah Fant too that year, and he would have taken him in the first, but that wouldn't have.
Do you think he wanted Juwan Jennings? He's just gonna rattle off. He wanted Kittle. He wanted Debo. He's gonna rattle off every single good 49ers offensive player.
Yeah.
No, Tillery's got 2 tackles for the Vikings. So that's cool. 17 tackles, 0 sacks this season. Good for him. But yeah, no right answer. I do wonder if the Blair thing, because that was like an odd pick, right? It was just like pure traits, and we like the guy. He's cool and quiet and menacing. But it was like, oh, there's a lot of work to be done here in terms of like the teaching. And were they just scrambling when their trade fell through and all the names was just... Even the DK thing, when they did it, Pete was like to John, he described how he was like, we can do that, or something along those lines.
Well, he was like excited, but
like, what, we've done that? Like, what?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because there was the medical questions, right? But
yeah,
and the lack of volume. But yeah,
strange. It's I'm sure that storyline with that report, we'll hear about it again for some reason. Like, I don't think that story is done. I think we'll get another breadcrumb, but I don't know. Interesting stuff. I wonder how this game changes things for ownership over how they view certain people. I wonder.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, it matters how the season ends.
Well,
if they finish 8-9, a losing record, sub 500, I think it's bad for a lot of people.
Plural. A lot of people.
Plural, yeah.
Wow.
Regardless of why or how they become 8-9. And I think 9-8 will maybe buy some people some leash, but then even then, if you miss the playoffs, it's still bad. So that's my guess.
Okay. Well then, we'll be back, chat, on Thursday with tape review. We're probably going to look at the defense again, let's be honest. But if there's any offense stuff, we'll talk about it. We'll also have Seahawks news. Please do follow Griff at CMike's Spin Move on all the apps. Follow me at Matty F Brown. Follow the pod at Seattle Overload to know when we're going live. Like the video, please. Please do like the video. I think it helps us grow. Post it in places. It's so great seeing everyone. Thank you for the donations tonight as well. Much appreciated. And also Steve Ferrone donated on our previous video. So thank you, Steve. Anything else, Griff? Closing wisdom?
No. And that's been Seattle Overload with your host, Matty F. Brown. Hit it, Matty.